I think it's really, really hard, that whole space. And another area which is kind of related is the government grant programs. So the government grant programs where they, like, I'm involved in all these businesses and they say, well, these grant forms, we should fill them in. So you fill them in, they give you some money. But Xero across the road gets given like $3 or $4 million for R&D every year. We just raised $60 million last week. We have no, if you're good, you can raise money. If you're not good, then you need to get money from the government. And so I think that's the selection bias that potentially happens in it. But I think there's a big difference between potentially what creates societal value and opportunity and what creates money. So if you look at the biggest companies in the world, I'll just talk about my sector, it's kind of tech really. Amazon, they just sell books and stuff, right? It's not really R&D. Apple, it's all sort of design led, it's not really kind of R&D stuff really. Google, it's came out of university actually, so that's potentially R&D sort of centric, but so subsidised by the university system. I don't know, there's all these other ones. So I think the only sustainable way to invest in R&D is to make good money and have a good business model. So where you're really investing is pre that point, I guess. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to give money to trade me to invest in R&D to build mobile phone apps. It's either good for business or it's not good for business, or it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, and they'll do it or they won't. And so what you find within those companies is it's more of an accounting thing. You get a form from the government that says how much have you spent on R&D, so you just kind of account for it in a way which makes it look like you've done lots of R&D. It's basically allocation of, you've got 100 software developers, and you say, oh, let's just say 60 of them are on R&D, and the other 40 are on business as usual. And so it's really an accounting thing at its worst. I mean, there's no business model around any of that stuff. But eventually someone invents, submarine fibre optic cables, and it's like, God, that was useful. These sort of things come out of that. But how do you actually pick favourites in putting money into people doing base science? I think the general direction is good. Like, I think that people shouldn't be spending R&D on social problems, social science, so much. To me, R&D is more of a technical thing, as I understand it. And those can be funded by other sort of programs. But it's, in the business world, it's largely regarded pretty poorly. I mean, if you get lots of grants, it's usually inversely correlates to your success and ultimately your ability to be sustainable. So the guys that get most of the R&D don't create big businesses. Trading had no R&D funding. We never went into any of the government meetings or any of this stuff. Xero is, government's irrelevant to it. So it's these big businesses, they're not really that relevant for R&D. So focusing that spend, if you're looking at nanoparticles, they exist globally, right? By their nature. So having a competitive advantage and focus in that area, I think, is important. And making sure that we can keep smart people in New Zealand for a bit longer to do that sort of work, I think, is important. Because we don't want to. I think we have a relatively unique innovation environment in New Zealand because we are smaller. We need to think more broadly, those sort of things. And we don't have Nokia or Microsoft sitting right next door, who does those things in their labs. So I think providing those opportunities is important, but getting the balance is hard. It's not an area I would want to wait a bit very much at all. Yeah, I think there's value in education, and there's value in universities, and there's value in smart people being able to do interesting work, and become good physicists or whatever their things are. And so those are not going to be funded by the private sector or by business. So government has a role in that. And I think it's just the amount of money you could spend is infinite. You could just spend, everyone wants $500,000 for their project, and quickly you've run out of tax receipts to cover it all. So it's just a question of, well, where should it be, and should we do some of it? We probably should. And so it probably starts at the top saying how much should we allocate to that roughly, rule of thumb, and then now how do we spend it as well as we possibly can. Which is kind of similar to what I did with my philanthropy, which is how much do I want to give away every year, and how many ventures do I want to put that money into practically, because I can't do 500 ventures. So you kind of go, well, how much money do I need to deploy into each venture? What sort of ventures do I need to look at, therefore, to deploy that amount of capital? So it's probably that sort of direction I'd kind of come at that problem. But